My man! Welcome to the show. How are you? Really excited as a parent and as a person of color to have our guest today. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, guys, what's up? It's Irfan Joffrey on the SunnySide Up podcast. This is the podcast where we interview leaders and folks that are at the top of their field. And I am deeply honored at some of the caliber of the guests that I have access to. I would have never believed I would be having the opportunity to come across and interact with some of the people that we do. And today I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Himansu Shah out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Dr. Himansu, thanks for being on the podcast.
Absolutely. Hi, Irfan. And to continue the conversation, welcome from sunny Las Vegas. So my name is Dr. Himansu Shah, as Irfan mentioned. I'm a board-certified plastic surgeon practicing in Las Vegas since 2002, and I specialize in cosmetic surgery. So thank you for the opportunity, Irfan.
We always welcome the opportunity to chat with smart people. Dr. Shah, what I'd love to start with is the journey. So how did you decide to move to Las Vegas? And maybe even before that, why cosmetic surgery as opposed to any other type of subspecialty? Let's start there.
And that's a great question. So obviously, being a plastic surgeon, and it's a long journey, very long journey. After high school, I completed 4 years of college at Stevens Institute of Technology. Then I went on to medical school at Rutgers Medical School in Newark, New Jersey. And then after that, I did another 7 years of general surgery training. Now, these days, they have combined programs. So after medical school, you get into a plastic surgery program, which is combined, could be 6 or 7 years. And so I did a full general surgery training for 7 years, where I did 5 years of the clinical and then 2 years of research. And after this 7 years of training, as a general surgeon, you get exposure to all different sorts of surgeries that are available, and you rotate through all of them. And I absolutely loved the plastic surgery rotation. And I said to myself, this is what I want to do. As a plastic surgeon, you see mostly healthy patients, cosmetic plastic surgery. And when you're done with performing whatever their desires are and try to achieve their looks that they're looking for, and absolutely very happy, and you see a smile, and that's what really said, hey, I like doing what I like to do. I want to be happy every day, and then I want to make my patients happy. So what best way to do this than to do plastic surgery? So I did go on to my plastic surgery training for 2 years at Temple University. And then, being in the East Coast all my life growing up, and how it is when it's cold, your body said, no, I want to go head west. And so there was an opportunity in Las Vegas, and came here for 1 year, did a aesthetic surgery fellowship, microsurgery fellowship, and absolutely loved Las Vegas. Even our kids who were young at the time, and my wife, who's a pediatrician, she said they loved Las Vegas so much because of the weather and the opportunity to grow. And so ever since then, here we are. We moved here in 2002. Now it's 2024. And so there you go.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. So, one of the things is I don't think people realize necessarily the amount of dedication that it takes to be able to do what you do. We hear about the lengthy training, the fellowship, but not only did you do a general surgery residency, if I understood correctly, but then you followed up with cosmetic surgery fellowship and then this I missed the name. What was it?
Microsurgery.
Microsurgery. So that is a tremendous amount of training, which certainly allows you such a breadth and depth of expertise. You know what I mean? Talk to me a little bit about one of the things that you mentioned was you like seeing happy patients, you like making people happy, it's generally a positive experience. Were there times in your medical training where you were seeing things and you were thinking, hey, you know what? This, I can do plastic surgery, I can do this, I can do these other things. When I'm doing these other things, the environment isn't necessarily a positive one. I'm surrounded by, negative thoughts and emotions. Whereas plastic surgery or these elective procedures, that's not the case. Is that sort of the thought process that was going, on in your head, or did I miss the mark?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, when I was in training, and like I said, we had exposure to a lot of different surgical subspecialties. I actually did some research in cardiothoracic surgery because initially that was my interest. But then, when you're a doctor, it's not only about how you want to take care of the patients and what you want to do, and then moving forward as to what your long-term goal is. And I wanted to have best of both worlds, have a family life style, also to the reason why I went to medical school was to take care of the patients and try to do as best as I can for them. And obviously the results cannot be always as best as I like in my mind, but that's how surgery is. But so we, basically wanted to have a balance and a family balance with also what I love to do is medicine. And the best way I found that was to do with the plastic surgery. And I can have the lifestyle that I want. I can have satisfaction that I always wanted in taking care of the patients. So that's why I elected to do plastic surgery. And yeah, it was a long journey. And being a board certified plastic surgeon, it's not easy. It's a lot of work is involved. And obviously, the most important thing as a patient is you want to make sure that you've done your research and that you have done the background and that they are board certified plastic surgeon, because that training means a lot. It's not only doing all the residency and everything, they also have a written board exam that you have to take, which is taken by all the people who have done the training. And then you also have the clinical exam. It's an oral exam where they present you with patients, and then once you complete all of those things, only then you could be a board certified plastic surgeon. So again, it is a lot of work, and there's a lot of dedication, and a lot of sacrifices were made by the family. And they had already told me, if you do one more fellowship, that's it. So I said, okay, you know what? We're going to settle down and start our practice.
That is such a great story. So I've had the opportunity to meet Dr. Lopa, your wife, who's absolutely amazing, one of the nicest. She's so kind and down to earth. Did you both meet in medical school, or how did that happen?
Yeah, no, I actually I did all my schooling. I came here at a very young age to the United States, and I had the opportunity, and I want to appreciate and thank the fact that I was able to migrate out here. My uncle was able to sponsor my mom, and so that was a really a great move for our side, and it gave me open up these opportunities to do whatever I like to do and pursue. And thank God for United States of America that we have that opportunity here. And my wife, Lopa, grew up in India, and she did medical school there. She was doing residency when we met. And, we were introduced, my dad and her mom, they were neighbors. So, and, we did a long distance relationship for 1 year. And I remember in the 90s, to make a phone call to India was about $2.25 a minute. So we did a lot of writing, and of course we spoke. And after a year, we said, we are meant for each other, and so we got married. And she migrated over here, did her residency in New York, just like I did in New York. And now we have two grown boys, and they've finished their education, and they both did amazing, more than we can ask. And it's always a question, hey, in Las Vegas, how's the education? And that was our biggest fear when we first moved. But both of the boys graduated from Cornell University. One is applying for medical school, and the other one is working in computer science. And he's very happy. And they're both living in Boston currently.
Wow. Okay. When you guys, when you first got married, she immigrates to the United States. You were somewhere in the residency process. She's in residency. Your lives must have been very hectic. How did you guys, when you're both working crazy hours, very little pay? When did you guys get a chance to, have dinner or connect with each other? What was that process?
No, that's always a very difficult task, especially when you're in two different programs. And after our marriage, in about a year or so, we had our first son, Amr. And so, being a resident, and she was a pediatrician, so it was very challenging. we needed some help. And thank God my mom, she was in New Jersey, we were in New York, so we were actually weekend parents. So she said, you know what, I will take care of Amr. You guys do what you need to do. We have calls, and it was really difficult to get a live-in nanny at that time. So she actually raised him the first 3 years in New Jersey, and we would go on weekends to see him, and based on our call schedule. So yeah, that was very challenging, and especially her being a pediatrician, seeing a little kid every day, and she would like start crying and be emotional, like, hey, I have a son but I'm not with him. And so it was very, very difficult, but thank God for mom. She took care of him very well, and it was not an easy challenge, but we got through it.
So you finish the residency in New York, both of you, and then that's when you say, you know what, we're gonna go out west. Did you take a look? How old are the kids at this point?
Right, the older one now just turned 27 years old, and the younger one is 23.
Okay, and when you were moving from New York to where?
From New York to Philadelphia to do the plastics training, which I
Okay,
started in 2000, finished in 2002. After that, we moved to Las Vegas.
Vegas. So they were at that age, maybe 10 or 12?
No, they were actually in time when we moved to Las Vegas. Older one was about 4.5, and the younger one was about 2. Not even two, 1.5.
1.5. And so I'm going to shift gears here for a second. So here you are, young family, is both very driven, obviously very ambitious, very competitive, to say the least. A lot of folks would say Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, or maybe San Francisco or Miami when it comes to plastic surgery. Those are the hot spots that you want to go to. Why did you specifically choose Las Vegas?
Great question. I did explore Hawaii, Beverly Hills, but California, it always was something that I always wanted to go. The weather and all of those things. However, it's expensive, and also very, higher chance for natural disasters, earthquakes and things like that. And so we said, well, let's try Las Vegas. Of course, they're prone to earthquake, but not as much. And the weather it's really nice. And we enjoyed our 1 year when I did the fellowship for the aesthetic surgery, microsurgery, and said, you know what, this is it. And we had friends, because the biggest question, along with the weather and everything, was the education, because our kids were just, babies. And we wanted to make sure that we had great education system. And so we spoke to some of our friends that we developed in the first year, because we still had an opportunity to move if we wanted to. And a lot of the kids were going to Ivy League schools and great schools. That was, because every time you look at the educational poll in Las Vegas, it's always ranked 49th or 50th in the country. So that always is something. Well, I want to have a great lifestyle, but also at the same time, I want to make sure my kids get the education that they should. And so it was a very difficult decision, but having friends whose kids recently graduated and going on to college and were very successful. So we said, you know what, we will take that chance. Hey, Las Vegas all about taking a chance. So we said, well, we'll settle down in Las Vegas. And most important thing in any education for a child is how much time you put in to their lives, and what kind of role model you are for your kids. And so we said, we're going to make it work. We're going to go ahead and provide them with everything that we need to get the best education. They went to public school, and we were a little concerned, but that's the best way to go to any school, is public school. You don't want to spoil them, and be with the people that they're going to be with for the rest of their life. So, and if it wasn't going to work out, we would always transfer to a private school. They did Kumon, and we made sure that they did their homework and that they put the extra effort. And these days, growing up is it's totally different than when I grew up. When I was growing up, you play, you go to school, you get good grades, you get into a good school. Now that's not enough. You have to have 10,000 activities, and you have to do this and that. And when I ask the kids, hey, did you do this, do that when you were growing up? You didn't do all those things, and you expect us to do all of these things. And so it's a little different environment. And I think times always change, and you always reflect and reminisce how difficult it was for you, but it's even worse for them. So fortunately, they both, turned out really good kids, got their education. So yeah, it was a challenge, and it was a tough decision, but I think we did the right thing.
Now, from what I gather, you and Dr. Lopa are involved with your community in Las Vegas. Now, did your family on the East Coast have any concerns as to, hey, you guys are just going to be out there on your own? There's probably not a very big South Asian community in Vegas. I don't know. Was that a concern, and have you seen it grow? And what was that process like?
Yeah, absolutely. It's when you first move, you have no one, and then you have to develop friends, and now we have such a big friend circle that moving to East Coast would be difficult. Although we, I have a big family. I have six uncles, and they have their kids and their kids. So uh, when we get to a wedding or some sort of gathering, we have a family photo with 120 people. So, and almost all of them are in New Jersey. And, obviously some of them are outside of New Jersey. And I try to say, hey, come to Vegas. It's a beautiful place. You'll love it. But, I remember when I was in New Jersey and growing up in New York, and said, oh, this is the best place on earth. I would never leave. But until you leave, you don't realize what you're missing somewhere else. So yeah, it is a challenge. So, but we try to go visit all of the big events when they have. So we meet at least once or twice a year, whether they come to Vegas or we go over there. And we have so many friends, and yes, I was part of an organization called Friends of India, and still part of it. However, I was a president for 2 years, and I had a commitment with the organization for about 8 years, serving as different roles. And so I did get to meet a lot of people. It was a smaller community, but like everything else, Las Vegas is growing. When we first moved here, it was about 1 million people. The major highway 15 was a 2-lane highway, and now it's like 5 or 6 lanes on each side, and the total population is almost 3 million people in Las Vegas. So, and we get tourists, we get friends who are coming, and so we get to see them all the time. And sometimes you're like, oh my God, someone else is coming this week. And sometimes they'll just get here and then call you instead of planning your trip, like, hey, I'm coming to Vegas in a week or two, let's get together. And they'll call you, and then you're supposed to go meet them and have dinner or something. But it's nice, it's exciting. We always are very receptive, and we try to accommodate that. So yeah, it's different, but we do have a large friend circle, so we're not lonely or we feel depressed like, oh, I miss the family. We do miss them, but I miss the food on the East Coast compared to what we have out here. And but we do travel a lot, and we do different places, and try to do everything. So in a nutshell, we do miss the East Coast, but we're happy where we are at.
Okay. That's so great to hear. That's so great to hear. So, I can almost visualize you, the both of you, in your young children in New Jersey in the cold and the snow and the rain. Not that that's a bad part of the world. I love New Jersey. I've got a lot of relatives in New York and New Jersey, and it's a very sort of a rich South Asian culture. But I can envision you moving from that environment all the way to Vegas, and just the day and night change that must have had. Now, when you talk to your sons, what kind of advice do you give them about their career? What are some of the things obstacles that you had, and you thought to yourselves, gosh, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I tell them XYZ so that they don't have to go through some of these challenges. What were some of those life lessons, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure, Irfan, this is 2024, and you could give them all the advice that you want to give them, and what you went through, they want to experience it on their own. So, most of the times it goes from one ear to the other. And it's when I grew up, and that advice was very important. But these days, they can figure it out on their own, and they do. And they are the key was that when they grew up, where I believe that has happened is that we instilled a foundation that at least they have to follow or do things that they don't go straight to something else. So that's the most important thing. And, we gave them all of the freedom to do whatever they want to do. Not that we can control them, but, we said, hey, do what is that makes you happy, whether it's a career path or sports activity or music, whatever they like. So we encourage them to make their own decisions rather than just telling them, hey, because, the old Asian parent, oh, you have to be a doctor or an engineer. So, we gave them that opportunity to explore. And, growing up here in America, you have a lot of different options. It's not like the British system where, is based on certain grades, you're qualified to do certain things. And that's an amazing thing. Everyone has an opportunity to achieve their dreams. So we said, hey, we're not going to force you to be doctors. We would like you to be doctors, but you have the opportunity to select what you want to do and do what makes you happy, because it is your life and you have to wake up every day and go to work. And if you're not happy, it's not going to work. So, our older son was, I forced him, I said, hey, apply to a combined medical school program. If you get in, you could decide when you finally make your decision as to what you want to do. And he got into a combined program for medical school. And guess what? He's like, nope, I don't want to do that. So we said, okay, that's great. And he went to the furthest school from Las Vegas, to Cornell. And he was happy. He loved it. He's still, the networking and the friends that he's developed, and still from Boston, they go to Manhattan, California to meet up with them. So we gave them all of the opportunities and letting them make their own decision. We were there for any guidance if they need any help. And if they ask us, we would certainly help them. And obviously, if they're making some deadly decisions, we would have to intervene and say, hey, that's not the right way to do it.
Got it. Beautiful. What advice would you give to someone going into medicine now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long path. And if you have the passion for it, you should do it no matter what, because that is, otherwise you're going to be miserable. And so you have to make sure that you're going in for the right reason, because everything is changing. You have to have the heart and smartness to do that. Don't go in because you think you're going to make a lot of money, because you could make a lot of money doing anything else but medicine. And everything is changing. It is not like when I went to medical school, where there are a lot of people who want to be in their own practice. Now it's more of a group practice, being employed. So you really, really have to have the passion for it. And if there's any doubt, then it's a long path. You don't want to go through it and be miserable. You could do it to something else that you could be passionate about.
Now, your son who's at Cornell, is he going to follow in your footsteps and focus on cosmetic surgery, or does he know what he wants to do yet?
Well, the older one is computer science. The younger one is in the process of applying to medical school, and he's been doing research at Beth Israel Hospital in Boston, which is affiliate of Harvard, and he's in the immunology department, and he loves immunology research. That he's so passionate about it. He wants to do the MD PhD program. So if he does that, and then I told him, hey, why don't you do dermatology or plastic surgery? We already have a established practice. And he's like, I'm not sure if that's what I want to do, because he's so passionate about immunology and he wants to be on the cutting edge doing research and coming up with new treatments, which is great because that's what he wants to do and that's what he likes. So he can certainly do that. Obviously, once you start medical school and you see other things, he may change his mind. But for now, he's very passionate about doing hematology, oncology, and he wants to do more on the research clinical side so he could make a difference and be out there to come up with a new revolutionary treatment or whatever.
Amazing, amazing. So let's shift gears a little bit. You moved to Las Vegas. When you moved to Las Vegas in 2002, did you start your practice like right from the start, or how did that process work?
Yeah. So when I first moved to Las Vegas, I was doing the fellowship, and at that time, chairman was also thinking about starting a plastic surgery program in Las Vegas. And so he asked me, "Hey, would you help us start the program?" And it was a relatively new program. They had just hired two other plastic surgeons, and then I was going to be the fourth one. And then so I said, "Yeah, that's a great opportunity." I love academics at that time and said I can certainly help put together, because in order to start a program, you have to apply through the ACGME to get an accredited plastic surgery program. So it was a lot of effort, a lot of time. And so we started the process, did the application, and in about a year, we got the approval to start the program. So then I was given the title of assistant program director. And so it was a nice way to share your knowledge and train plastic surgeons. And like I said, the key is to have a board certified plastic surgeon. And when you can, that also is very a good feeling to train someone, and then they're going to make a difference out and you're going to have some good trained surgeons that are going to be out there, that makes you happy that someday when you need someone to take care of you, that you have a trained board certified plastic surgeon who will be taking care of you and others. So that was very appealing. And so I stayed on faculty, and I did that for about 5 years with the university, UNLV system. And then I decided, hey, my kids are now grown up. The commitment was, to be on faculty and being on call and things like that. It was a lot, and I always wanted to be on my owning my own practice. And so I said, it's while I'm still young, even though I was old after doing 10 years of training and 5 years over there, I said, I this would be my opportunity to start my own practice. And because, it takes time to establish yourself. And we love Las Vegas. So we basically opened up a practice from very close from where we lived. That was in 2008. I opened up my practice. And then now we have two locations, one in Henderson and one in Las Vegas. And we also open up a surgery center to do all of our procedures that we do as a plastic surgeon. And we also have other plastic surgeons that can come because it's a certified ambulatory surgery facility. And so, it was a lot of work, a lot of pains, but now we're at a stage where we can hire more plastic surgeons in our practice. And we also started a dermatology practice. So we also have a dermatology provider, and so we can see both of them.
Well, what do you think the biggest misconception is about starting your own practice? And tell me more also about the facility that you opened up for surgeries where other physicians can come and operate on patients there. Why did you choose to do that? So, two-part question.
Correct. So, starting a practice on your own, it is a lot of work. And I'll be honest with you, what I do is easy, but the administrative part is very difficult. And being a plastic surgeon, we have a little different than someone who's doing all different types of medicine specialties, because those are based on insurance. Our practice is based on cash pay. And, being part of doing insurance work is a challenge of its own, because every year there's reduction in the reimbursements, and to sustain a practice on your own is very difficult. You don't have negotiating power trying to get onto panels for insurance companies. And because that's important, because if you open up a shop and you expect just people are going to walk in, you'll be in a surprise, because that's not the case. You have to have contracts with insurance companies and make sure that they're paying you decent money to take care of them, because to provide a standard of care that is set very high, which is what I expect for everyone. But the cost of it is very difficult. When they keep cutting your costs to take care of the patients, the supply prices have gone up, and the cost of practice is high. And everything, like inflation, as you see, every day in your life, you've been paying more and more for everything. But at the same time, for seeing the same patient, 3 years ago, and now we're getting less money. So it's very difficult to make ends meet. So that's why being an employee is better, because the hospitals and the group practices have better negotiated rates. And aside from that, as a plastic surgeon, we get cash pay, but it doesn't mean that just because you get cash pay that the prices you can ask whatever. At the end of the day, the patients can pay for it is what you're going to get. And second question you asked is about surgery center. Having the surgery center, it's a very expensive proposition. However, the problem that we were encountering was the fact that our livelihood depends on surgeries. So, of course, we do in the office things that we can do, such as smaller procedures, liposuction, facelifts, fillers, Botox, things like that. We can do in the office, not a problem. But the bigger procedures you have to do at a surgery center. And the surgery centers that we were utilizing, because they're not making money on us and they're making more money from the insurance, so they were dropping plastic surgeons. So and if that becomes something where I cannot do my procedures in a surgery center because they don't want us to do it, then what do I do? So I said, hey, let me anticipate that I'm going to have some issues. And since then, the two places that I used to go to, they don't take plastic surgeons anymore. So, or one of them does, and the rates are so much higher. So I said at that time, let me have my own center. So this way, even if I cannot go somewhere else, I have a place to operate. And so that's why I started that project about 4 years ago before COVID. Then COVID hit. So it was such a delay because, as you know, things were very difficult to get done at that time. And then finally, we were able to finish that, and we opened up our surgery center about a year and a half ago. Yeah. And no, actually a year ago, because it was February last year that we opened. And so it's a year now. It was a struggle, but I'm glad I did it, because otherwise I would be trying to figure out where I'm going to do my surgeries. And by opening a certified facility, I could have other surgeons who were thinking what's going to happen to them, and that they can do procedures at our center as well.
Wow. If you had to do something differently in opening up and running your private practice, what would it be?
Well, if I were to do it today, I would have to take a long thought about what I want to do it, what I know about the practice. The administrative part is such a challenge. I may consider, not being my own boss and be an employee, or go in a group practice where maybe we can still have like a ownership, and but more than one person. So being a solo practitioner would be a very challenging thing. However, as a plastic surgeon, you can still do a solo practice and it's doable. But doing the administrative part is the most difficult part, and always think twice about that, because it sucks life out of you, and doing my part is the easy part.
Wow, wow. Very humble answer. I'm glad to hear it. That's incredible insight. Let's talk about more fun stuff. Who are your patients? What do they look like? What are they coming to you for? What sort of keeps them coming to you over and over again versus others? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our patients, that it's seasonal. So at this time of the year, we're going to see more body contouring, breast augmentation, younger patients who would want to get ready for the summer. So one of our biggest and popular procedure is what we call a BBL. And for those people who don't know what a BBL is, a Brazilian butt lift. It's a liposuction of your body. It's a lipo 360, and then fat transfer to the buttock. So we see a lot of patients who had their children and they want to look and regain what they look like before. So mommy makeover, they want to do a little bit of breast lift, augment their breast, because, after having pregnancy, their breasts are deflated. So they want to look like what they were before. So that's a very popular mommy makeover procedures. We also have a lot of just breast augmentation, a lot of liposuction patients with or without fat transfer. And, we also have patients who undergo facelifts, and those are more common in the winter time because they want to be able to not be in the public and just recover while they're not vacationing. So we do all sorts of procedures. We don't, discriminate. I used to do rhinoplasty, but I don't do that anymore. But we do facelifts, breast augmentation, tummy tucks, BBLs, liposuction, and then we do all the fillers and Botoxes, laser hair transplant. That's a big procedure for men and women because women also want to do the eyebrows and they have some thinning, so they may be a candidate for a hair transplantation. So, along with a lot of the laser procedures that we do in the office. So it's a comprehensive procedures that we offer and come in for a consultation. And like I said, most of the procedures we do, and it's, we like to take care of them. So they will send their family, their friends, that's the best way to expand our practice. And over the years, we've seen the mom that we did an operation for, now their daughters want a breast aug, so they come in and it feels good that I did the procedure for their mom and now their daughter wants to come have the same procedure. So that tells you that I'm getting old. I've been in practice for a long time. So, but it's always a good feeling to do that type of stuff.
Talk to me a little bit about the demographics. Is it mostly women? Is it, well, obviously based on the procedures you just shared with me, I would imagine it's women, but you mentioned there's procedures for men that you do as well. When you talk about Henderson, when you talk about Las Vegas, what is the majority makeup of your typical patient? What do they do? Age range, things like that.
Yeah. So, the BBLs and the breast augs, mostly younger generation, younger patients in the 20s and 30s. And then mommy makeover between 30s and 40s, facelifts, 50s plus, blepharoplasty, upper lower blepharoplasty. Those are usually in the 50s and 60s. And being in Las Vegas, entertainment city of the world, we do see a lot of younger patients, but then we have a lot of people who have retired here. So we see also the patients that are older. And so we have the opportunity to take care of both. And that is a nice thing about that you can see young and older patients. They're not old, but they're older. But so that's a nice thing about being in Vegas.
I've heard from folks that there are people that will travel from Southern California just to see you for a variety of reasons outside of just the fact that you're an incredible plastic surgeon. Talk to me about how that's come about and why.
Absolutely. So, like I said, word of mouth. So, if you had a patient that you did a procedure for, or these days, social media, TikTok, Facebook, people, you can have more exposure. They could be a follower, and then your patients who have operated on, they have posted something, and they have friends who live in California. We have patients who come from Hawaii, California, Canada, all over the country. Sometimes from the East Coast, they come in and they have a procedure. The nice thing about being in Vegas is that, hey, they have a procedure, they can spend a week. Some procedures, they come in, have it the next day or the following couple of days. I examine them. If they look good, no problems, they fly back. So, it is, or drive back, especially if they come from California or Phoenix or Scottsdale, Arizona. So the nice thing is that it's a city where people want to come and spend their week and get away from all of their regular day stuff. And we do have a lot of tourism for the surgery, and it's nice because it's so convenient. If they're in California, it's a 3-4 hour drive or a half an hour flight, 45-minute flight. So people want to do that. And, there are some risks associated with flying, but if you walk and if it's a shorter flight, then it's easily doable. So, like I said, we have patients who fly back to Hawaii or Canada, and they take proper precautions. And patient safety is always first. So so that's a very an aspect of our practice where it's growing. And as you do more patients, and they tell their friends, and that helps you grow.
What do you do in your practice to differentiate yourself from competitors?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of our board certified plastic surgeons have very similar training. And then it comes down to not just your skill set and how well you do something, it's how you interact with your patients. And what kind of relationship that you establish with them, and whether they trust you or not, and so we try to be as nice as we can with the patients. We provide service to them, and we try to select staffing that would also provide the same type of service and principle that we have for our practice. So I think that makes a big difference from even the website design. And first they look at the website, they look at your reviews, they make a phone call. And when they make that phone call, if they, minute they answer the phone call, if they're not going to be up to their level, I'm never going to see them. So we have to make sure that we have properly trained staff. And then once they come, how well we receive them, and then the consultation, the office, we want to make sure that we provide the appropriate office that they expect for a plastic surgery. And we do our best to take care of them like family, like if I was operating on my own family members. So I think those are things that kind of helps us distinguish ourselves from someone else. Not that someone else won't do the same thing, but those are things that we try to do to make patients comfortable and that they want to have their friends and family come to us.
Well, based on the reviews, it looks like you're doing a great job. I've heard lots of good things from the folks that I've certainly had the opportunity to interact with. What do you see in terms of changes for your practice? What are your goals for the next year, the next 2 years?
Yeah, we all want to grow, and I want to add more plastic surgeons to the practice. But, so there are a lot of changes happening in the field, and it's always dynamic. New things are coming up, technologies. And, recently we implemented, people may have heard, hey, BBL is dangerous. I see that, hey, people died in Miami from the procedures, and I don't know if it's safe. So we want to make sure, as I said before, that safety is number one. So the latest and greatest thing that we have is an ultrasound. A lot of the times, they looked at why young people who would undergo this procedure would die. And so the American Society of Plastic Surgery set some guidelines that, hey, one of the reasons that patients may be dying is the fact that the fat transfer is going deep into the muscle, and where the vessels are larger, there's a higher risk for fat emboli, pulmonary emboli, that may be contributing to the death. So the guidelines say that, hey, you need to inject the fat above the muscle. And when you do it blindly, you don't know exactly where it's going. So the latest guidelines are to use an ultrasound device to exactly visualize where the fat is going. So we invested in the technology. We have training in that, where for every fat transfer for patient safety, we use an ultrasound. We look at it and deliver the fat exactly where it's supposed to go. So, knock on wood that we won't have a problem with that. And so those are things that we're implementing. And as the technology evolves and safety evolves, we would implement that in our practice for patient safety.
You seem to be a bit of a pioneer or early adopter out in Vegas. That's great. Just based on everything that I've heard you say in terms of some of starting a surgery center, investing in technology, staying ahead of the curve, all these things. There you could probably easily sit back and say, you know what, I'm just gonna have my nice little practice and do my thing, and I don't need to stay on top of what's going on. But I think it's incredibly commendable that you continue to work so hard to advocate for your patients and to ensure the safety of some of these procedures. I think sometimes patients, they may not understand the gravity of what they're getting into. They just see other people doing it and they're like, yeah, sign me up and I'll just go to any old place to do it. And they don't understand that these are serious procedures that, if not done carefully, can have significant negative repercussions on their life, and even deathly so. And so going to somebody like you, who's got a breadth and depth of experience, board certification, and always sort of on the top of their game, is something that you would hope that people would research when they're thinking about doing some of these procedures, and not just blindly going, based on price or God knows what other factors that they take a look at.
I couldn't agree with you more there. I think it is absolutely important to make sure that it doesn't have to be me. It could be anyone else, but that they have proper training. We have people who go on a weekend course and they declare themselves as a cosmetic surgeon or doing liposuction. As like I said, with the insurance companies, reimbursements going down, we have a lot of people who are not trained to make cash money. They started doing liposuction in their office. They started doing things that they're not familiar with because they go for a weekend course. And that really, the safety gets really affected because they're not trained to do that. We have a lot of, different specialties who are doing this because it's a cash pay. And that's why it's very, very important that one looks at the facility where they're having it. Is it a licensed facility? Is my doctor board certified? And is he board certified or she a board certified in what I'm getting done? Because you could be board certified in internal medicine, you could be board certified in emergency medicine, you could be board certified in family practice, but that's their training, their board certification in that. But you have to make sure that if you're going to have a BBL, if you're going to have a facelift, you're going to have a breast augmentation, you're going to have a tummy tuck, that you go to a plastic surgeon who's board certified in plastic surgery, not something else.
So important. That speaks to a larger challenge within the medical community. Two things. Number one, there is a component of disenfranchised physicians who are not happy with what they're doing and they want an opportunity to make more income. And so, even though they are not plastic surgeons, cosmetic surgeons, or doing some of the things that would allow them to safely do these procedures, they're like, hey, here's an opportunity to maybe increase my revenue or increase my patient volume. I'm just going to go ahead and do this on the side. And that's not, they make things bad for themselves when they do that. And I'm not trying to pick on physicians in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying that there is a contingent of the physician population that exists that are doing things that they're not in their best interest, financially, because they could get sued, increases their malpractice insurance maybe a little bit, and it's not in the best interest of the patient. That's one part. The other part, there is a whole contingent of health spas, medi spas, where they might have some type of physician on their board or affiliated with their business, but the individuals that are running that business, that are doing the procedures, are not even physicians. They've, to your point, have just taken one or two courses, maybe three or four courses, but have no business digging inside somebody. And that's really scary. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Shocking. Shocking. So terrible. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you forever. Now, full disclosure, Dr. Shah, you are a Roosterly client, and we've just only started working with you. I wanted to ask you why you decided to work with me, with us, and our team. Was it because of my good looks? And I know we've only just started, we're only just scratching the surface. But was there something that, because I know you've worked with maybe other marketing firms as well. We were introduced through one of your friends, who's incredible, by the way. Her name's Eileen. Was there something specific that you thought, okay, based on this guy, I want to work with him, or Roosterly?
Yeah. Sorry to burst your bubble. It wasn't your good looks, it was your personality.
Okay, okay. So I got one thing going. Great.
No, absolutely. I think you have a great reputation, and having a call with you to go over the things, and having spoken to other companies that do similar things, we had a good feel and understanding. And the approach that you have, I think, it was very good. So we said, and you came highly recommended, and the references were great. So I think you have a great product. So we're looking forward to the relationship.
Excellent. And I certainly want to maintain that good relationship. We're under a tremendous amount of pressure only because of the excellent references that folks gave us, and the people who talk good things about us. I am under the gun. We've got a lot to do, and I want to make sure that we grow this relationship as we do with any client. So, guys, if you're listening, my philosophy when working with physicians or attorneys or any business owner is we start small, low risk, prove out results on a small level. Technology goes sideways, things break. So my job is to be transparent. If a mistake is made, to speak up early and often and talk about how we're going to grow, how we're going to fix things, how we're going to move towards that goal of scaling up, right? And that is not done by pressing a button. That's not done by saying, hey, sign up for 5 or 6 different services with us. That is part of the relationship, starting small, scaling up, proving out results, and hopefully that lasts for a long time if we earn our business every single day through our communication and doing good work. So Dr. Shah, it's always an honor, I think, to be able to speak with folks that are competitive, intelligent, doing incredible things, because it inspires me. And I hope everyone listening out there is inspired by Dr. Shah's story of starting out in New Jersey and working very, very hard. And in the early days, maybe not seeing his family as much as he wanted, both him and his wife. And then, look, with hard work, dedication, determination, and goal setting and all these things, look where he is now. So, Dr. Shah, thank you again. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, if I may, Irfan, if
Yeah.
anyone is interested in anything, like we said, we have tourism. So anyone from world or in the States, you can contact us by calling us at 702-684-5502 or visit our website at signatureplasticsurgery.net. And we'll be more than happy to answer any questions. And we also have teleconsultations. So that means that we can do a consultation from a setting of your home, and then we can discuss what your needs are and what we need to do to get you that result. And if you're interested, you could always at that time fly in, and then we could have a final exam right before you come in, and then we can proceed and you could fly back out. So we do offer that, and I think that has been a big hit since COVID. We were all transitioned to doing a lot of video consultation, and so again, if anyone is interested in that, we offer that, and you could take advantage of that. Instead of flying out for a consultation, we could just do a video consult. Thank you. And it was a pleasure. Appreciate the time, Irfan.
Okay, so once again, if anyone is interested in any of the procedures that we talked about, it pays to go to a top cosmetic surgeon like Dr. Shah. And the best way to get a hold of him is at the number that he stated, which is once again
702-684-5502.
And the website address once more?
Signature Plastic Surgery.net.
Okay, perfect. And guys, we'll share these in the links and on social media, so there's no excuse not to reach out to Dr. Shah's staff to schedule a video consultation and go from there. Dr. Shah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.